What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great beginning of your week. I had this Monday off, so it's been nice. I've been at home relaxing. It's sunny out. It's just been a great day. That being said, let's just go ahead and jump into it. This is my second video in my BSPWM series. The first video we did the basic install of all the necessary programs just to get up and going. And so now we are going to take a look at setting up our BSPWM setup to where we can have some wallpaper and have what you see here. I have a bar, and so we can set up a couple different key bindings and stuff as well. Doing a little bit of the aesthetic stuff and making it look decent. So that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into it. As you can see, this is BSPWM right here. Like I said in the previous video, you're going to log right into a black screen. There's not going to be any type of wallpaper or anything like that set up. That's why we needed to have RxVT-Unicode installed, and we needed to have dmenu installed at the time of install of BSPWM, so that way we could move around and function. That being said, you wouldn't normally have a bar on startup. The only reason I have this is the same bar I use for Herbstluft. It's my polybar configuration. The only reason I have it loaded from the get-go is the fact that I tried to record in BSPWM without the bar up and running, and since I don't run Pulse Audio as a daemon, it actually starts up with my bar. Without the bar actually starting, I didn't have any sound and I couldn't record anything. The simple screen recorder was kicking me out, throwing a bunch of errors. So I have to have the bar up. You won't have that if you launch BSPWM without any changes to the config file. You'll just have a black screen. So that being said, aside from me showing a bar, this is exactly what you're going to log into when you log into BSPWM for the first time. So let's go ahead and launch a terminal here. If you are just going with the basic setup, you are going to want to press Super Enter is going to launch URXVT for you. That's what SimpleX Hotkey Daemon has set from the get-go. So Super Enter will launch a terminal for you. And once you get the terminal up and going, I want you to go ahead and use Vim or Nano or whatever text editor you have on your system. And we are going to go into our .config, maybe. BSPWM/BSPWMRC. So again, we're going to Vim or Nano or whatever editor you use, and we're going to open up .config BSPWM/BSPWMRC, and we're going to hit enter. And if you recall, the last time we did this, this was about all we had on there. It was just a very small script. It gave us a few options here, like our border width and our window gap, which from the get-go your border width will be 2, but your window gap is going to be set to 12. I changed mine to 5. I don't like huge gaps, but and you won't have this bar section here. This is what I set up to get my bar going. This is one way of doing it. I'll cover the other way of doing it as well, but this is just kind of the best way for me to do it. And then you had your BSP split ratio right here for your windows. It would be set at 0.52. I changed mine to 0.6, so I have a 60-40 split. A lot of people don't like that because that gives you small windows on the stack side and the master is larger, but I like to have a larger master because I don't usually work from the stack side. So and I guess technically it's not master and stack on this. It's pseudo tile, kind of a Fibonacci style, where it splits the window and then splits the window in half again and then splits it in half again. So if we were to launch, then it would be here, and then we'd split again, and then we'd split again, and then we'd split again. See, it just kind of keeps scrolling down into the Fibonacci style. I don't like that, but that's what BSPWM comes with out of the get-go. But if you've seen any of my other videos, like my video on my Windows script for finding out what windows are on what workspace, I don't like a lot of workspaces open anyway, so usually I'm not going to have more than 2 or 3, so this setup right here fits me just fine. That being said, you can have that, and then you're also going to have the borderless monocle and gapless monocle, which means when you go to full screen mode, it's going to take away everything. You're not going to have a border, and you're not going to have any gaps. So that's basically what you get from the get-go with BSPWM's configuration file. You do have a few window rules down here that you kind of do as a example, I guess. You can keep these as is if you want GIMP to float and automatically launch on Workspace 8, and Chromium, if you have that installed, will automatically launch on Workspace 2. If you want to keep those, that's fine. You don't have to touch them. If you don't want them, go ahead and erase them. I am just going to leave them as is for right now. But that being said, let's go ahead and I want to open up another file here. So we're going to do a split in Vim here. I'm going to do Control W V, and we're going to do a split. And I'm going to launch nerd tree, and we're going to launch our simplex hotkey daemon script as well. So now I have simplex hotkey daemon over here, and I've got BSPWM over here. So that being said, you can see I've changed a few things in simplex hotkey daemon here. I will go over that in a few minutes here, but for right now, let's go ahead and get some stuff going in our configuration file for BSPWM. Now, you will have about one thing in your auto start section here. It's not going to be labeled auto start. I put that line in there just so I can break things up, just like the bar. I put bar in there so I know what's going in there. But auto start, you're going to have simplex hotkey daemon, and that's just fine as it is. It's going to call simplex hotkey daemon from the simplex hotkey daemon directory in your .config directory. That's fine. I have a couple instances of simplex hotkey daemon on my machine, so I actually put them in with whatever window manager I'm calling them from. It's just been a habit because I've had so many different window managers installed at one time that I just like to have each one have its individual simplex hotkey daemon file and its own setup and its own controls, and then I put them and call them. So mine runs simplex hotkey daemon with the C flag. Let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm sorry, I should have zoomed in a while ago. Here I am talking away, and you guys probably can't even see what I'm doing. So in your auto start, again, simplex hotkey daemon is going to just be simplex hotkey daemon. I run it with the C flag so I can actually pick what configuration file, and that was in my home .config, and I put mine in my BSPWM directory where my BSPWM RC file is. I also put my simplex hotkey daemon RC. If you want to do that, just go ahead and change your auto start to this SXHKD with this -C flag, and then put the path to your simplex hotkey daemon RC in your BSPWM directory. That will make your simplex hotkey daemon pull that configuration file. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but that's just what I do. If you want to start PyCom, if you have a compositor, then you're going to run PyCom here. I have it was the Jonaberg version of PyCom. I can't remember what the other. They didn't have Jonaberg. It starts with an I. I can't remember what it's called, but I have to run the -- experimental backend flag to run the version of PyCom I'm running. You don't have to if you have just strictly PyCom. You can just put PyCom here with the ampersand after it. What that does is, if you're not aware, then running the ampersand at the end of the line actually makes it a background, makes it run in the background. So it's a background process, and so if you don't have the special Jonaberg, then you want to run PyCom and just put the N on it and the ampersand on it, and that's just fine. That'll work. Now, the bar, as you can see here, I have pkill polybar, which is going to kill any instance of polybar on launch that might already be there, and then it's going to run my .config polybar launch.sh script. You don't have to have this script to launch polybar. If you just want to auto start polybar, you can, right in here in your auto start, just go polybar, and then whatever your polybar is named in your configuration file, like mine is main bar -herbst for this one, because this is my Herbstloaf polybar. I'm going to change it for the BSPWM setup, and I'll have that done on my next video. But you just call polybar Herbst, and again, you want to put the ampersand there, and that way it will launch polybar out of the box. When you load up BSPWM, it will put a polybar instance at the top there. So that's one way to do it. Again, just polybar main bar -herbst or the name of your bar, or you can use the launch.sh script, and I will cover that again in my other video. But that's how you'd get a bar to launch if you're using your auto start. Now, the other thing we want to do is, if we go to another workspace here, like I've got no wallpaper. So whatever wallpaper setting program you use, whether it be Fay or Nitrogen or Variety Wallpaper Changer, there's a whole bunch of them out there. You're going to want to call that here in your auto start. I use X Wallpaper. It's just nice and easy. It's a simple program. So basically, I'm going to use X Wallpaper, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do X Wallpaper, and then I'm going to do shoot, what I normally have it set at. Excuse me one second. Let me move over to my vim.config herbst auto start zoom. So we're going to do -- zoom, and then we are going to run that flag on my home / media / pictures, not pictures, boy, / wallpaper, and I believe I have one called void. Let's see here. Quit out of there, and that's sorry. I should have been a little more prepared for this, but I did one, and I think it was void.png. Okay, so void.png. I couldn't remember if it was a JPG or a PNG. So basically what I'm doing now on my auto start is I am going to run X wallpaper, and I'm going to run it -- zoom, so it will fill my screen, and I'm going to do on my home, media, pictures, wallpaper, void PNG. That's where I have that saved. So if we go over here, and let's clear out of there, and let's clear the screen and zoom in, and I'm going to do this right now. I have this set to a key binding in my SimpleX hotkey daemon RC, and it will be set to one in yours as well. But if you want to restart and reload your configuration file, you can run the BSPWM -R, and that will relaunch your configuration file, and it didn't launch my paper. So okay, it's not going to launch my wallpaper. Let's see, what did I do wrong here? Wallpaper, zoom, media, pictures, wallpaper, void PNG. Maybe I'm not supposed to have the and on the back of it. Let's write that, and then R. Nope, it still doesn't want to launch it. Let's see what's going on here. Let me go back into my Herbst Luft, because I know it works out of there. And -- zoom, X wallpaper, -- zoom, media, pictures, wallpapers. Because I didn't have the S on the end of my wallpapers. Well, here you go. There's something that there we go. That fixed that. So now let's try this again. So now if we launch, there we go. I can see it change in the background. Now we have a wallpaper up there. So I apologize about that, but hey, now you can see how things can go wrong. Sometimes you think you got something right, and you just got a little bit of something goofed up. So again, if you were running, I used to run nitrogen, so if you were in here and you use nitrogen, you could run the command nitrogen -- restore if you wanted, and then the path to your picture, or you could run nitrogen -- random, I believe is the, if you wanted to change wallpapers every time you boot up. So there's just different things you can run there, but I use X wallpaper, so we're just going to use the X wallpaper program for me to get a wallpaper going. So now we've got a bar. I kind of showed you how to get a bar going. I've showed you how to get wallpaper on it. Let's do a couple other deals here in the configuration file. So I have BSPC config border width, which is 2. We have that in there. We have BSPC window gap, which yours will be 12. Mine's set to 5. You can set it to whatever you want, and that will change your window gap. Right now I have, I don't know why I have this in there twice. Right now I have a BSPC config focus follows pointer and BSPC config pointer follows focus. Now I have one set to false, one set to true. So let's go ahead and launch another window here, and you can see that if I move, oops, let's reload that, moving back and forth, focus follows pointer should be set to false, but it's still following. That's weird. Let's go ahead and reload. Let's write that, and let's reload. There we go. So I hadn't written it yet. So we can see right now we have BSPC focus follows pointer set to false. So when I move my pointer back and forth, it doesn't switch between windows. But I have pointer follows focus set to true. So let's say I am focused on this window over here. You can see it's the one that's got the light gray border around it. So I'm focused over here. If I press my Alt and my arrow key to move over to the left window, you can now see the pointers over here. Let's do that again. So see the pointers here. If I do Alt over, now you can see the pointers here. So what happens is my pointer for my mouse, I don't use mouse very often, but my pointer for my mouse is going to follow whatever screen is in focus. So that's what this right here does. This pointer follows focus set to true is what does that. If you set this to false, then when you switch focus on windows, your pointer won't focus on that window. And then you'll just have to grab your pointer from wherever it is and drag it over there if you want to use that. Now, focus follows pointer is set to false. So as I move my pointer back and forth between these two windows, you can see the focus stays on the left side window. If I do insert mode and I change that to true, and we write, and then we reload the file, you can see now if I move my pointer back and forth, the focus changes between the two windows. You can have both these set to true, both of them set to false, one set to true, one set to false, vice versa, doesn't matter. However you want it to work. If you want the focus to follow the pointer and the pointer to follow the focus, set them both to true. If you just want one or the other, set the one you want to work to true and the other one to false. If you want neither of them to work, then just go ahead and set neither of them to true. So that being said, we can now go down here. We've covered this config split ratio, but we'll touch on it again. So right now I have it set to 60/40. So say I want to do 50/50, we could write, and we'll relaunch, and we will close this. But then when we launch a window again, you can see now we're split 50/50. If I wanted it to be 40, we could write, we could quit, but then when we launch here, you can see it still stays at 50. Why is that? Because your master can only be as small as 50, I believe. Let's try writing that again real quick just to make sure nothing happened. But yeah, you can see it doesn't go any smaller than 50 for the master. So if we want to change this to 70, then we can write. Oh wait, you know what I didn't do? I bet. Let's try this real quick again one more time. 40. Let's write and let's reload the config, and then yeah, okay, so my bad. Again, I'm learning BSPWM along with you guys. I haven't really used this heavily. I've installed it on my other machine, played with it for a little bit, but I didn't go heavy into configuring it. So I apologize if I get something wrong here in this video, but I will try to make sure the information I'm giving you is as accurate as possible. So again, that'll take it down to 40% on one side and 60% on the other. You can have this set however you want it. You can do 55, right? Let's reload the config file, and then we'll hit enter, and that's actually better than the 60/40. I like the 55, so we're going to go ahead and leave it at that. I'm going to change to 55. This is the borderless monocle and the gapless monocle. We touched on that already. So let's go ahead and go to a couple more things we can add on to here and maybe get this thing looking kind of nice. We can change our border color. If we want to do that, we would do BSPC, and then we're going to do config. So anything you want to do with BSPC configuration wise in here, well, for most things, you're going to want to do BSPC config, and then say we want to do our normal border color. We would just go normal underscore border underscore color. So you can see configuring this thing is really super easy. I mean, it's really basic syntax. You can really understand what's going on here. BSPC config, you're basically configuring the program BSPC that controls your windows. You're basically just running BSPC config to let it know, hey, configure this. And what are we configuring? Okay, the normal border color. Let's make it, what color should we do that? Let's do just something that'll stand out. So we'll do red, so FF0000. And then, oh no, actually I think we need to have quotes around that. So we'll do quote, let's do some double quotes, and then we'll write, and then we'll reload, and then, yep, okay, so there we go. So the normal border color now is red. So if we want to then do BSPC config, and we're going to do active, or actually just do focused border color. And what color do we want that? Let's do that one in, how about kind of a blue, 5F87AF. This is one of my favorite colors here. So we'll do that one, and we'll write it, and then we'll reload, and now you can see that focused border color changed to kind of a blue color. It's a really neat color. I really like that. And then you can do urgent border, so BSPC config, and do urgent border color, and let's say we want to do that as FFFFFF. We'll just have that one be white. I've never done urgent border color, so I don't know what the heck that's all about, but it is what it is. There's some other options, like active border color. I'm not quite sure what the difference between active border and focused border is. I didn't mess around with that too much, but there's also Preselect feedback color. Now, this one, if we do BSPC config and we do Preselect, well, before we do that, let's just go ahead and close this out, and BSPWM has this option where you can pre-select where you want a window to launch. Like normally if you just hit and launch another terminal, it's going to put it in a predetermined spot. This is where it goes. It goes through that, like I said, that Fibonacci design. It's going to launch everything in a certain spot already. The one thing BSPWM has that's real similar to what Herbstluft has, which I prefer the way Herbstluft does it, or HLWM does it, as opposed to BSPWM. But BSPWM does have this option that's really kind of cool. If you were to hit, I believe it's the mod control and the arrow key, like say I want to do left, and I hit mod control left, now you can see this orange color that pops up. That right there is showing me that now if I launch a terminal, it's going to launch that terminal in that location, not the preset location that it's going to go to by default. So then we close it out. Say I wanted to do it below it, so I could do mod control down. Then that's going to launch that terminal right down there below it. We can close that back out. If I do mod control up, it's going to launch it above. We can quit mod control right. It's going to launch it over there. And say we can do that and quit. So this pre-selection that BSPWM offers, if we actually go right over here, let's look for right here, send the newest marked node to the pre-select node. So super Y, that'll send it over there. Let's see, pre-select. So if we press the mod, which I have set to alt, mod plus control plus whichever one of these you choose, left, down, up, or right, it's going to send BSP node -P, north, west, east, and south. It will highlight that area and it will launch it to that area. If you do super control 1 through 9, it's going to pre-select the ratio. So let's do super control 1. It's going to be big, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can determine how big the ratio is going to be. So then you launch terminal, and now you got this teeny tiny little terminal over here. But you have different options on pre-select. Super control space, cancel the pre-selection mode. So if say you did mod control left, and oh shoot, I don't want to do that, so let's super control space, it's going to cancel it out. This is all found in your SimpleX hotkey daemon RC file. The pre-selection is pretty cool. But let's get back over here, control W, and back to the side. So if we want to change that, we can do a pre-select underscore, oops, I've got to go back into insert mode there, Jake. We can do pre-select underscore, and that is, I believe, feedback color. Okay, we're going to have to test this. So let's do pre-select underscore feedback underscore color, and that's going to be, let's change that to 78860F. I don't know what this is, but let's just check it out and see what happens. Then we're going to write, and we reload the configuration file. Now let's do a alt control left. No, that didn't change that color. Okay. Super space. So maybe that wasn't how you, was it? Oh no, okay, I see what I did wrong here. So it's I think it is it's not pre-select completely. I think it's just pre-sell, shortened version of that. Let's go ahead and write that, and let's try it again. So we have that to 78860F. It was the orange color, so now let's try it. Yep, there we go. Okay, so, oh shoot, okay, well, I just closed everything out. So let's go back in there, let's vim into there, BSPWM RC, zoom in, sorry about that. So, this right here, this BSPC config pre-sell feedback color, you can change to right here. Now, can you do transparency on it? I don't know. Let's go ahead and take a look here, and with transparency, we could do, let's see here, AA7, I believe is, and so, no, it doesn't look like you can do that, just changes it back to the normal. So I don't know if there's a way you can do transparency on that so it's not a completely solid, hideous color. Even just being a solid color that you like is kind of annoying. It would be nice if it just kind of gave you a transparency there or something. I'm not quite sure that that's possible though. So we'll kind of leave that alone and save that for another day. But that's another thing you can do is change the color of that pre-selected area. So that's pretty cool. So then when you launch there, you can see that that's where it's going. So that covers some border colors, getting your bar up and going, and getting a wallpaper set. Let's go ahead and look at, let's see what else I can have gone over today. I think that's about it for today. That'll get you obviously all your programs installed where they need to be. Your from the first video, your BSPWM installed, your BSPWM RC, and your SimpleX Hotkey Daemon RC located where they need to be located. If you want to change any of the key bindings in your SimpleX Hotkey Daemon, let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'll show you how to do that. So if we vim into, like I said, I have mine moved over, but you're going to want to go into your SimpleX Hotkey Daemon RC wherever you have that located. So go in there. And like I said, they start off with everything as super key for the modifier. I changed most of mine to alt, but you can just go through here and it's real simple syntax. You can see like alt shift return is going to launch kitty for me. So basically alt plus shift plus return, and then you go down the line, you tab in and you type in what you want to launch. It is really simple. Now the stuff for BSPWM that's specific is slightly different, a little more complicated, but this right here basically just means alt plus either T shift plus or tab shift plus TSF, whatever, is going to give you tiled, pseudo tiled floating. So if I do like mod and I do T, it's in my tiled. If I do mod and I do F, then you can see it goes to full screen. My gaps disappear. If I go back to tiled, if I do mod and S, it's going to go up to floating, I believe, or pseudo tiled. If I do mod shift S, mod shift T, mod shift F, I'm not quite sure what exactly that does. It does give you the option here, but I haven't played around with that, so I'm honestly not sure what that does. But basically, to change between tiled, pseudo-tiled, floating, and full screen, you just press your modifier key, which again will be super from the get-go. You can change it to alt if you want, and then you can do SFT, and that'll change between tiled, floating, and whatever else. Now, super control, you can mark windows, you can lock windows, you can make them sticky, so that way when you so if I do super control, let's do Y, I believe. If I do then go to workspace 3, you can see it brought that along with me to workspace 3. If I go back to 1, it brings it with me. If I go to workspace 8, you can see it brought it with me, so that makes it sticky. You can lock it in place, you can make it private, you can do that kind of stuff with the super control M, X, Y, and Z. You can focus the node in any given direction, so alt, I have left, down, up, and right set to west, south, north, and east, so as I press the modifier key and up, down, left, and right, it will send focus to whatever window I'm pointing to or setting it to. Super plus PB, comma, and period is going to give a window either a parent, it's going to make a window a parent, a brother, a first, or a second, which just basically means where it's at in the stack. Or in the tree, basically. Super plus shift is going to next, previous, or hidden window. If you do super bracket left and right, next to previous. Super plus grave or tab is going to show you the desktop, I believe. I'm not quite sure. Let's see here. Super plus tab. No, that switches back and forth between the last desktop you were on. Super grave goes back and forth between those. I'm not quite sure exactly what that's all about, but let's do super shift 1. So anyway, you can go through this and you can just read through your SimpleX Hotkey Daemon RC, and you can see it's really simple to understand, and you should be really able to change what you want to, launch what problems you want, or what programs you want. So let's just kind of show you real quick here. If I wanted to launch Firefox, basically I would do, I usually have Alt Shift A launch Firefox. So if I wanted to add that, I would just say Alt plus Shift plus A, and then down here, and then Tab, and then Firefox, and then right, and then if we do Alt Escape, excuse me, if we press Alt Escape, it's going to kill and then reload Simplex Hotkey Daemon. So Alt Escape. Now if I go to workspace 4, how about 5, and I hit, oh, we're set on sticky still. Well, we'll just launch it anyway. If I do modifier A, we should launch Firefox, and we do. So there we go. So again, it's real simple to figure out. The syntax on Simplex Hotkey Daemon is really simple. It's really easy. You should be able to change what you need to change, add what you need to add, and you shouldn't have any issues. Now we have gone through. Let's go ahead and write and quit out of there. Let's go back into our BSPWM RC real quick. And so we've gone over our auto start, how to get Simplex Hotkey Daemon, how to launch PyCom and wallpaper in the background from launch. We've got our bar, how we launch our bar. Again, you can do it this way with the pkill polybar and the launch.sh script, or you can actually just put polybar and then the name of the bar you're launching here. Either way will work just fine. I haven't done it the other way very often, so I'm not quite sure if there's going to be side effects somewhere down the way. If there is, by all means, shoot me a message and let me know so that I'm aware as well, but I don't think there should be. We have our border width and our border gap or window gap set. We have our focus following our pointer or pointer following our focus if we want. We've got our split ratio set. We have our borderless and gapless monocle set if we want. You can turn those to false if you don't want them set that way. And we've got some border colors changed and our preselect function color changed. So that being said, I think that's a good bit of work here for the second video. We should now have a BSPWM that when we launch into it, we can have a bar going. We can have a wallpaper, and we can have the key bindings set that we want. And we can actually have a usable BSPWM setup. We can have a few of the colors we want around our border and in our pre-select area, and yeah, we should be good to go. So from here, I mean, you guys should be able to dive in a little bit and start customizing, doing what you want to do to make it look pretty for you, and getting your system really looking like you want it. So hopefully this helps you. Hopefully this video worked for you, and stay tuned because I've got one, maybe two more videos coming up. We'll cover actually getting polybar set up how we want it on here as far as aesthetically, and maybe a couple other things. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, have a great rest of your week. God bless.